Okay, so a very good evening to you all, and I welcome you to today's session. Today, we'll be looking at Module 2 of our CCNA1 training class. If you have missed the Module 1, I encourage you to check the YouTube recordings that we have made, and you'll be able to catch up. We'll be looking at basic switch and end device configuration. And at the end of today's class, we'll be looking at a packet tracer, 2 packet tracer activities. Okay, so stay tuned as we roll. During this process, we'll be looking at the concept of Cisco IOS Access, and we'll be looking at iOS navigation. iOS simply means Internetwork Operating System. Then we'll be looking at the command structure. We'll be looking at basic device configuration. We'll be looking at how to set configuration. And we'll be looking at port addresses, and then configure IP address and how to verify activity. Let me mute everyone so that we can. Thank you very much. Okay. Now, the core of what we should be able to learn in today's class is basically how to understand the command structure of how to configure devices, particularly using the iOS, Cisco iOS. iOS is like the operating system, okay? Now, operating systems generally have a shell and a kernel, okay? The hardware is the physical device you can see and you can touch. The software part or the operating system is the software that interacts with the hardware in order for it to function. So we have the kernel, which communicates directly between the hardware and the software of the computers and actually manages the hardware. So this is the hardware, then this is the kernel. The kernel deals directly with the hardware of the system. Okay, then we have the shell. We have the shell. The shell on the other side, the user interface that allows users to request specific tasks from the computer. This request can be made either through command line interface or through the graphical user interface. So basically, those are the operating systems, okay? So the operating system, like we said, for your Windows or for your Linux, actually works in the same way. It has the kernel and the shell that talks to the hardware and then interfaces between you and then the hardware. Now, GUI stands for Graphical User Interface, and a GUI allows the user to interact with the system using an environment of graphical icons, menus, and windows. Okay, a GUI is more user-friendly and requires less knowledge about the underlying command structure that controls the system. Examples of these are like the Windows. This is the example of the Windows. GUI is like the operating system that gives you the graphics. Then you have the Mac operating system. Then you have the Linux KDE. You have the Apple iOS, and then you have the Android that is on your phone. Okay, all of them uses the graphics to make your usage very comfortable. The GUI can fail or crash or simply not operate as specified. For these reasons, network devices are typically accessed through the command line interface. And these network devices we're going to be looking at includes routers, switches, and firewalls, and so on and so forth. So the purpose of the operating system is enable the user to use the mouse to make selections and actually run programs, and also to enter text and text-based commands as well. The command line interface on the other side enables the network technician to be able to use a keyboard in order to run command line interface network-based programs, and also use a keyboard in order to enter text and text-based commands. Okay, so this is like the view of the command line interface. This is the view of the graphical user interface. So if you're going to use a command line interface to configure a router or a switch, how then do you access this device? There are various methods that you can access the command line interface. The first phase is called the console. Using a console cable is a physical management port used to access devices in order to provide maintenance, such as performing the initial configuration. This is an example of a console cable. Okay, so the console cable, you connect it to the device, and then you connect the other end to your system. And then using a terminal emulation software, you can be able to log into the particular device. Another way to enter the command line interface is using what we call the SSH, which is the secure shell. And it establishes a secure remote CLI connection to a device through a virtual interface over a network. So the difference between using the console and the SSH is that the console means that you need to be physically present to connect to it. The SSH means that you can connect to it remotely, and you can use softwares like POTI. Look at it here, and then you will enter the IP address of the device, and then you will now select SSH here. Then you now say open. Then it will bring you to this particular terminal like this. But before you are able to connect using SSH, you must have done initial configuration. Initial configuration is like the first configuration you will do when you have the device, setting up the name, setting up passwords, setting up IP addresses, and some basic configurations. Those are the initial configurations that you do. So you can use Telnet. You can also use secure SSH to enter the command line. You can also use what we call the Telnet. Okay, the Telnet establishes an insecure remote CLI connection. So you see the Telnet and the SSH both do the same thing. They give you access to remote configuration. In this case, this is where you connect to the Telnet. Okay, but the difference between the two is that the SSH is secure. It uses a secure shell terminal, while the Telnet does not. Okay, it uses plain text. And that is why it's always encouraged to use the SSH. Now, the terminal emulation programs you can use, we have variety of them. They are basically programs that are used to connect to a network device. Either you use console or you use SSH or Telnet and things like that. So there are several of them. You can use any one of them you want to use. But for the purpose of this class, we'll be using either POTI or we'll be using TerraTerm. All right. These are either of the two. They are free softwares. You can just go to your system online and download them. Very light and very free. So in each case, once you launch it for the TerraTerm, it will ask you if you're using SSH or Telnet, you will have to enter the IP address here. Okay. And then if you are doing a console connection, you will now connect. You will see this place will enable, and then you will see the what do they call it now? The device, the cable device that you want to use console to connect to, and you'll be fine. If you're using POTI, if you're using SSH, this is it. If you are going to use console, you will come here where it says serial. Okay, that's where you will now connect using POTI. Okay. Now, once you are able to connect, the operating system or the iOS have different modes. Okay, it has different modes. It has what we call the user executive mode. Okay, and the user executive mode actually allows access to only a limited number of basic monitoring commands. And it also identifies by the CLI prompt that you see there. Okay. Okay, somebody just sent me a message that it has poor output for the audio. Okay, I just want you to, if you can hear me loud and clear, you can just send a message on the chat. Let me be sure, but if you cannot hear me well, let me also know. Okay. All right, so I can receive responses that you can hear me loud and clear. Oh, thank you very much. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Oh, okay. Good. So I've confirmed that. So if you cannot hear me, please, you can check your own device. There's probably an issue there. Okay. So like we said, the iOS has different modes. The modes are it's like you want to enter a house. Okay, you enter. Let me use this illustration. Let's say this is a house. Okay, the governor's house or a politician's house, something like that. The house is very big. Now, this is the entrance. Okay, once you enter the house, you enter this first door. You will see maybe one parlor here. The first parlor or waiting parlor. Okay, this first parlor here you see is what we call the user mode. You will see the carat sign. You see this greater than sign like this. Once you see it, that is the user mode. Okay, and we will talk about what you can do in the user mode, but basically troubleshooting or commands you can run there. Okay, after the user mode, you see, you need to enter the user mode before you come to the next parlor. This is the entrance to the next parlor. If you enter here, there is another parlor here. Yeah, you enter, there's another parlor there. That is where they call the privileged executive mode. Okay, and in the privileged executive, it allows access to all commands and features that you have. Okay, and identified by the command line prompt and ends with the hash sign. So it has all the commands you have in the user mode, plus some other commands that you're also going to be using for troubleshooting. Okay, so, and after that, you will have another command, another room here, another parlor here, which is what we call the global configuration mode. Now, in this global configuration mode, it is used to access configuration options on the device. And you will see in the global configuration mode, you will see there is a config and then there is an hash over there. Okay, these are like the three major modes. Okay, you have the user mode, which is like the waiting room. You have the privileged executive mode, which is like the first parlor. Then you have the global configuration mode, which is the inner room parlor. Now, in the global configuration mode, you see in the house, maybe there's one room here, master bedroom. There's another room here, maybe the first child and the other one. Now, these rooms that you can see there, we call them sub-modes. They're called sub-modes, and you find them in the global configuration mode. If you enter the interface, maybe interface is one of the bedroom, so there's a sub-mode for it. If you are doing routing protocol configuration, there is a sub-mode for it. If you want to do line mode configuration, there is a sub-mode for it, and so on and so forth. And that is why you see here, you have what we call line configuration mode. You see, in this line configuration mode, you will see that there is the config, then dash line to tell you it's a sub mode in the global configuration mode. If you come, and what can you do there? You can configure the console, you can configure SSH, Telnet, and even auxiliary. You can do all those there. Okay. Then you have the interface configuration mode. You will see the config, then dash IF. So you see in all these sub modes, you will see the config, then dash then the submode. And here is used to configure the interfaces of the router or the switch, like the ports on the router on the switch. You can use these submodes to configure them. Now, how then do you move from one mode to the other, from one room to the other? How do you move from one mode to the other? Okay. Now, from user mode, if you are in user mode, you want to move to privilege exec mode, you just type the enable command. Just type enable. If you are in user mode and you type enable, it will automatically bring you to the privilege executive mode. From the privilege executive mode, if you want to enter the global configuration mode, all you need to do is type this command, configure terminal. Type the command in the privilege executive mode, it will automatically bring you to the global configuration mode. If you want to go back to the privilege executive mode, just type the word exit. If you type the word exit, it will take you back to the global configuration mode. Then, if you want to now go to a line mode from the global mode, maybe you want to go to maybe console, you want to configure the console port, you just type the command line console 0, then it will bring you to the line mode. If you want to go to the interface mode, all you just need to do is just type the interface and then the port number, and then you will be good. Okay, so to move out of any sub-configuration mode, to get back to the global configuration mode, you use the exit command to return to the privilege executive mode. Okay, and then if you want to go back and back, just use the end command. It will just bring you to the privilege mode. But if you're in global mode, like I said, and you want to go to the interface configuration mode, then Joseph, please, can you stop scrolling around? I think, Joseph, you are disturbing the screen. Thank you. So, in order to move to the interface mode, you just type the interface, then you put the name of the interface, Fast Ethernet 01 or Fast Ethernet 02 or something like that. Whatever port, fast internet port, then you do that, and then you'll be good. Okay. What is the command structure like? What is the command structure like? Let me see if I can. All right. The command structure basically is to let you know that you have a prompt. All right. The prompt is to tell you whether you are in a user mode, privilege mode, or global configuration mode. For instance, this is a switch, and then you see the prompt here tells us that we are in user mode. Okay, so in the you have the prompt, then you have the command. The command, in this case, you're using maybe show command, or you're using the ping command. Okay, whatever command that you want to use. Then you have to put a space. All right, then you put your keyword or your argument. So I say like show IP protocols here, or we can say ping, then the IP address, but there is a space in between. So the keyword is a specific parameter that's usually used to define defined in the operating system. All right, and the argument that we're talking about is not like predefined. It's like a value or a variable that you actually use in order to, like you see, this is an argument. The IP address is a variable. Sometimes it changes. Okay. A command might require one or more arguments, and to determine the keyword and argument required for a command, you need to refer to the command syntax. The command syntax is like the rule or the dictionary for the particular command that gives you an idea what the command is all about. Okay, so For instance, the command syntax provides the pattern or format that must be used when entering a command. So if I want to ping an IP address, for instance, I will type ping, then I will enter the address, okay? Okay, ping, and then you will enter the address. Then, or if you want to use the command trace route, then you enter the address. But what is the structure or the syntax for the command? Look at it here. All right, you can just type the question mark and it's going to bring you in. How does the question mark help you? The question mark is what we call the context sensitive. It's like a help feature. You just type your command, you put a question mark. For instance, if you look at this, you type ping, when you put space and you put a question mark, it's going to give you the recommended actions that you can do next. If I type ping, we're going to practicalize it very soon. If you type ping and you put a question mark, it's going to bring out the options that you want to do. Or probably if you type a particular command and you type it wrongly, you will see a caret sign and it will tell you that there is an invalid input at that particular point. So those are ways that it helps you to be able to sort out that. Okay. Now, basic device configuration. When we say we're going to do basic device configuration, first of all, we need to now configure the device name. The first configuration command on any device should be, to give that device a unique host name. And to do that, you need to, first of all, go to the configuration terminal. Okay. And the guideline is that you start with a letter, then the name contains no space, the name ends with a letter or digit, and you use only letters, digits, or dashes, and has to be less than 64 characters in return. Okay, so if I want to put a name, I will say, for instance, host name, then I'll give it a name. You see, I put SW-floor1. So it's telling me that is switch floor 1. So I'm giving a name that is going to describe the location of that particular device and what type of a device it is. Okay. How about password? There are guidelines for setting password in a device. So remember, in the basic configuration, we will set up device name using host name. Then the next thing you do is to set up password. Okay. And the use of weak or easily guessed password are often a security concern. So all networking devices should limit administrative access by securing privileged executive mode, user executive mode, and remote telnet access with password. What we are saying is that instead of making it very easy to move from one user mode to the other mode, maybe from user mode to privileged executive mode, you need to put a password. Okay, you need to put a password so that you can limit, it's not everybody that should have access to it. All right. So we said your password should be more than 8 characters in length and is a combination of uppercase, lowercase, letters, numbers, special characters, and alphanumeric sequences. Okay, and you should avoid using the same password for all your devices. Do not use common words because they are easily guessed. So how then do you configure a password? So we're going to configure password on the privilege mode, and we will configure password on the line mode, like your console port, and then your VTY or SSH or Telnet. You will configure password there. How do you configure the password? Very easy. First things first, you will need to enter the configure terminal mode. Once you enter the configure terminal, that is the global configuration mode, then you will say you enter the line sub mode, line console 0. Then you will now type password, then you put in the password you want to use. For the purpose of this lecture, we're just using Cisco as a password. But you just type password and then put in the password you want to use. After which, ensure you type this command, login. Now, this login command activates the password at the point of the login. If somebody wants to log in into this console port or console line, or maybe wants to log in VTY or whatever, that login was going to prompt the person to enter password. Okay. And then if you want to put a password on your privileged executive mode, you do configure terminal, and then you type enable secret. Then you type in the password. So this password, we're just using class just for the demonstration of this particular lecture. But you are supposed to use a very strong password. So once you put that password, anytime somebody is in user mode and wants to go to privileged executive mode, it will request a password. If you put password on the console port, if somebody wants to enter using console port, it will request a password. Okay. Then you also have the virtual terminal lines, the VTY lines. These VTY lines is to tell you, assuming you want to connect using Telnet or you want to connect using SSH, whichever one you want to connect to, they are all virtual terminal lines. That's why they are called VTYs. And in a switch has 16 VTY lines. And then a router has 5 VTY lines. So if you are configuring VTY lines in a switch, you use line VTY 0 to 15. 0 space 15 is saying that I want to configure all the 16 virtual terminal lines. What are these particular lines? It means that there are up to 16 different individuals that can remotely log into this particular switch at the same time. Okay, that's why you are securing it. If you only secure 1 or 2 or 3, the other ones will still be loose. So you secure it. If you're configuring a router, you will now use 0 to 4, 0 space 4 to cover all the 5 virtual lines. Okay, so that is that one. And then once you have done creating your passwords, you need to encrypt. You need to encrypt these passwords. Encrypting them will help secure it in case somebody gains access to it. So the startup config and the running config files display most of the passwords in plain text. So to encrypt all the plain text password, you use this particular command, service password encryption. Okay, if you use the command service password encryption, then you'll be fine. All right. It will just immediately encrypt all your password. Okay. Now, if that is encrypted, if you want to see the current configuration running on your router, you use the command show running config. If I use show running config here on the router, you will see that the password has been encrypted. Can you see? It has been completed. This is password for the console. This is password for the VTY lines. It has also been encrypted. But if you did not use password service encryption, service password encryption, you will see the password in plain text. Okay. Now, there's also what we call the banner message. All these things we are doing is the things you are supposed to do when you are doing the initial configuration, or what we call basic configuration. All right. So the banner message. The banner is important to one unauthorized personnel from attempting to access your device. All right. So the banner is very, very important. So to create a banner message of the day on the network device, you use the command banner, then MOTD. MOTD simply means message of the day. Okay. Then you start with what we call a delimiting character or any character. You see, in this case, we use hash. This hash is the character we use. If you use the delimiting character to start, it's the same delimiting character you will use to end. So you can use star, you can use asterisk, you can use hash, you can use any character. But if you did not use any character, what the system will use is that the first capital letter that you use or uppercase letter you use is what it will call your delimiting character. And you're supposed to use the same thing at the end. Okay, so once you use the delimiting character, anything that you put in between is going to be seen as the content of that message. All right, so you see, for instance, here it says authorize access only with a hyphen. That is the message here that is being configured. Okay. After you've done your configuration, how do you save it? Saving your configuration is very, very simple. All right. All you just need to do is you have different ways to save. You have what we call copy, run, start. All right, copy, run, start, or copy, startup, or running configuration. But before then, you can the system has two type of files. It has what we call the startup config and it has the running config. Okay, the startup config is the saved configuration file that is stored in the NVRAM. The NVRAM is like the hard disk, the permanent storage where it stores a document or files. So it contains all the commands that will be used by the device upon startup or reboot. Okay, so the running config is also stored in the RAM, that is in the random access memory. So what's the difference between the running config and the startup config? All of them are the same config. The difference is that the running config is what is currently running in the RAM. Startup config is what is being saved. So there is a tendency you can have something that is stored in the RAM, but it is not stored in the NVRAM. So what you need to do is you now save your configuration so that it's going to be saved in the NVRAM. But if it's running in the RAM and the system power cycles, you will lose your configuration if you have not saved it. Okay. So to save changes from your running configuration to your NVRAM, all you just need to do, use the command copy running config, then space startup config. And you run that in the privilege executive mode. Okay, you just say copy running config, and then you say startup space startup config. Once you do that, it copies what is in your running configuration file and saves it into your startup configuration files. Okay, so that is what happens. Port addresses, how to configure addresses. So usually IP addresses are found on your system. You can assign your system manual IP addresses that we are going to see how to. I'm sure you've been taught how to do that in your IT essentials, so I'm not going to spend much time on it. How to assign IP addresses on your system. Okay. Then we have what we call the switch virtual interface configuration. Switch virtual interface configuration. What does this mean? The router or the switch, particularly the switch needs to have its own IP address. Okay, for it to have its own IP address, you need to know that by default, the switch comes with a VLAN, and that is called VLAN 1. It's the default VLAN. Every switch comes with it. And that default VLAN 1 has all the ports allocated to it. What is a VLAN? A VLAN is a virtual LAN. It's just a way to segment your network virtually. We're going to talk about that in detail in subsequent classes. Okay, but what I just want you to know is that every switch comes with a VLAN 1. And if you wish to give your computer an IP address, you are going to give the IP address to that VLAN 1. And you just enter the configure terminal, interface VLAN 1, IP address, then you give the IP address. Then you use the no shutdown command, and then you are good. Okay, once you do that, then you are good. So we're done with the theoretical part of module 2. So right now, I'm going to go to the module, the packet tracer aspects. Okay, so let me load the packet tracer. I'll load for your documentation. If you wish to follow, I'll be taking packet tracer 2.5.5 and then packet tracer 2.9.1. Okay, those are the packet tracer activities I will be taking. So let me load it. Okay, sorry about that. Let me share it now. Okay, so here, yes, I will say no. Now, this is the packet tracer. Okay, and in this particular packet tracer, we're just going to be following the instructions that are here. These are the instructions. We're going to verify the default switch configuration in part 1. Part 2, we will configure a basic switch configuration. Remember, we talked about basic switch configuration. You configure the name, you configure the passwords, you configure the line interfaces, and configure the IP addresses, then message of the day banner. Okay, then here you configure the MOTD. Here you will now save your configuration files, and then you will now configure switch 2. So you see, these are two switches, switch 1 here and switch 2. So remember, when it comes to this, just follow the instruction as it gives. You will not make a mistake. If you follow the instructions, we have made it very, very simple and easy to go. What is the background scenario? It says in this activity, maybe let me put it this way. It says in this activity, you will learn basic switch configuration task. You will secure access to the command line interface and console port using encrypted and plain text passwords. You will also learn how to configure messages for users logging into the switch. These messages or these message banners are also used to warn unauthorized users that access is prohibited. Okay, so that's what we're going to use. So note, in packet tracer, Catalyst 2960 switch uses iOS version 12.2 by default. If required, the iOS version can be updated from the file server in the packet tracer topology. The switch can be configured to boot from iOS 15 if that version is required. So you don't need to worry about this English, but I just need you to understand that for every packet tracer activity you are doing, you need to go and read the information and follow. Now, let's see the instructions. Part 1. Verify the default switch configuration. Default switch configuration simply means as you bought the switch, what are the configurations that came together with the switch from the manufacturer? That's just what we want to do. Okay, so step 1, enter privilege executive mode. You can access all switch commands from privilege mode. However, because many of the privilege commands configure operating parameters, privilege access should be password protected to prevent unauthorized use. Okay, let me scroll down here. So it says the privilege exec command set includes the commands available in the user executive mode. Many additional commands and the configure command, though, which access the configuration mode is gained. So how do we gain access to it? It says click switch 1, then the CLI tab, press enter. So let's do A. This is switch 1. If I click switch 1, okay, let me be sure that you can see this. Okay, you cannot see it. Click it here now, right? So I've clicked switch 1. This is where it's bringing me. I'm sure you can see it now. And this is the CLI tab. And then they say we should press enter. So I'll press enter. So you see, the moment I press enter, this is what comes out. You can see this is switch 1, and then the mode here is which mode? This is the user mode. Can you see? The user mode carries the greater than sign. The privilege executive mode carries the hash sign. The global configuration mode carries in bracket the global config and then the hash sign. Okay? So we have done step 1. Can you see? We have done A. We are finished. B says enter the privilege executive mode by entering the enable command. So what we're just going to do, we're just to type enable here. And once we type enable, it should be able to bring us to the mode. All right. So I will just type enable and I press enter. So you see, the moment I press enter, it has switched. Can you see? This is now the privilege mode. Okay, so you see between this mode and this mode, it didn't ask me for a password. And that's why we're saying part of this activity, we're supposed to put a password in between. If I type enable, it's supposed to ask me for a password before it takes me there. Okay. Then it says, notice that the prompt change reflected the privilege executive mode. So you see, we are done with A and B. So let's go to step 2. Step 2 says, examine the current switch configuration. So enter the show running configuration command. Remember, I said that there are 2 configuration commands. There is the running configuration command, then there is the startup configuration command. The running configuration command is the command that is running in the RAM. The startup is the one that is saved in this NVRAM. So for us to see the current configuration, we need to now do show running config. Running config. So I just type the command here. Show running config. If I press enter, now see what it has brought for me. Where is the command? Show running config. See, it's telling me this is version 15.0. It says no timestamp, no service stamp, no password encryption. The host name is set to what? Switch. That is the name of the device. All right. Spanning tree mode is pavilion spanning tree. Spanning tree extended. All these things, don't worry about them. We'll talk about them in future class. Interface configuration, the fast Ethernet. So you see this switch has how many ports? It has 24 ports that are fast Ethernet, and it has 2 gigabit ports. It has interface VLAN 1. It does not have IP address there. Line console 0 is not configured. There's no password. Line VTY 0 to 4, no password. Line VTY 5 to 15, no password. And that is it. So let's come to the activity. It says, answer the following questions. How many fast Ethernet interfaces does the switch have? We saw that it has how many? It has 24. How many gigabits interface does it have? We see that it has 2. All right. What is the range of values shown in the VTY lines? All right. We have 0 to 4 and we have 5 to 15. So in other words, 0 to 15. Okay. Which command will display the current content of non-volatile random access memory? That is the NVRAM. So now we are seeing the show, what do you call it? Running configuration. So let's check whether there is something in the NVRAM. So that's why they are asking us which command. So the command we're going to use is show startup config. If I press enter, see what the message is showing us. Startup config is not present. Why do you think it's saying startup config is not present? Because we did not save anything there. All right? We did not save anything there. We have not done any. This is like initial configuration. Part 2 says create a basic switch configuration. All right, so let's create now. So it says to configure parameters on the switch, you may be required to move between various configuration modes. Notice how the prompt changes as you navigate through the switches. So they say we should go to configure terminal. That means we want to go to global mode. And then they say we should change the host name to switch 1. The name of the switch at present is what? Is switch. Look at it here where you see host name. Can you see? Host name is called switch. So we want to change it to switch 1. Okay. And once we do that, then we exit. That is this step. So let's do that. So we'll go to configure terminal. So you see, I am in global configuration mode here. Let me see if is there a way I can make this thing bolder? So let me see. Good tools, no options, preferences, font, command 9. This is 15. Let me see if I can make it 16. Okay. So let's see. Just manage it as it is. This is what we could get. Okay. So this is what we're to do. We're in global configuration mode. This is the global configuration mode. Okay. And then we're to change the host name. We'll just say host name. So you see, assuming I don't know the command to use, I put question mark. If I put a question mark, can you see the question mark I put? See, it brings out the full command for me. So I will just put host name. Assuming I don't know what I'm supposed to put after that, I put a space and I put a question mark. And then it will tell me word. This is this system's network name. You're supposed to put a name for the system. Okay. Says interface is not displaying again. I don't understand. I'm seeing your messages. Is it that you cannot see? Maybe let me unmute you guys. Is it that you cannot see what I'm doing? Oh, I don't know. Is it that I've unmuted you? Is it that you cannot see what I'm doing? Somebody has been sending me messages.
Some people cannot see you, but we are seeing you.
I can't see what you're doing.
Your CLI interface is
your screen is not
very clear.
Okay.
Sound very clear. We can see it.
All right. So can you see the CLI now?
The CLI.
Okay, yes.
Now
Check the top.
Okay, we can see the CLI now.
Okay.
We can see
okay.
Sati.
I can't see it from my hand.
Okay.
Hello, Sati.
Mr. Sunday, please. I can't see it from my hand.
I can't see you as well. I'm seeing your faces and we cannot see the screen actually.
Sati,
right.
you can check the top.
Please go
check
ahead.
the top. Check the top.
You can go
check
ahead,
it.
sir. We can
check
see,
that
we can
box.
see it now. It is clear.
It's up now. Check the top to leave this interface on top.
Okay.
I'm viewing faces going.
I should check the top. The top.
Yes, check top. Check it. The check box beside top. Just check it to make it active. So whatever you are doing, this configuration stays active. So it doesn't go back. Once you minimize your screen.
Oh, that's here.
Check it.
Top here,
yes,
right?
Yes, check it. Yeah.
Okay.
So whatever you do, it stays on top. No, for the configuration, for configuration instructions, check the top so it doesn't disappear.
All right. So I've done that. So I think, thank you very much for that idea. I think I like that. Whoever gave me this idea, seems you are a good teacher. You are used to it. That's good. All right. So I want to believe that we are together now. So those of us who are having noise at the background, could you mute it so that we can continue?
Just mute all of us, sir, so that we can hear
Just
you.
mute everybody. Mute everybody.
Okay. All right. All right. Let me just mute. All right. Thank you very much. So, what I just did, let me go back again. We're trying to configure this, okay? And we just came to configure terminal. And then in the configure terminal, we wanted to put host name. And we said, assuming you don't know the command, if I put HOS and I don't know the full command and I put a question mark, it's going to bring out the name for me here. So I have host name here, okay? I have host name here. And if I put host name and I don't know the next command to use, I can just put a question mark. It will tell me, I can put a word here. That is the name I wish to use in order to name the what do you call it now? The switch. So the instruction says we should name it S1. Okay. So I'm going to now do S1, right? So I've just done it S1. So, all right. So since I've named it S1, you will see that the prompt has changed here immediately. All right. So the name of the switch has changed to S1. So I'm done with step 1. You see, step 1 is very, very, very simple. All we just need to do is just follow the instructions and we will be good. All right. Let me go to step 2. Step 2 is to secure access to the console line. Now, the console line is where you will connect your console cable and connect and leads you to the user mode, okay? So what you need to do is you still come back to your configure terminal, then you will enter the command line console 0. Then you will now type a password. Now, this let me in is just a password that we're using for the demo of this class. But you are supposed to type your own password. Then you will enter login and then exit. Just follow these steps as simple as it is. So let's do it together. So I will just come here. I'm already in the global configuration mode here. So I will just type the command line console. I can put a tab, press my tab. It will complete the command for me. And then console 0. If I press enter, then I'll type password. If I press the tab key on my keyboard, it will complete the command for me. Password, then I will now type the password I want to use to secure that switch. Okay, but for the purpose of this class, the password is let me in. Okay, then I press enter, then I type login. Remember the purpose of the command, this command login. This command login will help to activate the password at the point of logging in. All right, so I press enter, then I'll exit, then I'll exit. Bam. So I am done. I am done with this part. Let me go. So you see, they asked the command, why the login command, which I have just explained. Okay. Oh, somebody say we should add them to WhatsApp group. Okay. Before I continue, I will post the link, the invitation link to the WhatsApp group. I will post it here. Just a minute. Let me just let me post it here in the chat group so that those, but I would have loved that you wait when we are done, then you can post that kind of information. It's a little bit distracting. Okay. Where is the chat group? All right, so I'm dropping it. So I just dropped the link to join the WhatsApp group if you're not in the WhatsApp group. So I've dropped it. So let's continue. Okay. Okay. Step 3. Step 3 says, let's verify that the console is secure. Okay, we have done the console. Let's verify that it's secure. How do we verify? We will exit the privilege mode, okay, and then we'll see what happens. So I will just exit. So now we have exit. So if I press enter, if I want to start, I press enter. You see it's requesting for password. I want to enter the console port now, okay? And then it's requesting for password. So all I just need to type, let me in. You see, if I type that let me in password, it brings me to my user mode, all right? That is the password for this, step 3. So we are done in step 3. Let's go to step 4. Step 4, we are supposed to secure privilege mode access. You see here, we have done this one. If I type enable, I press enter, you see it takes me to the privilege mode immediately without any much problem. So what we'll do is I will just set up the password for this privilege mode. This to set the password to enable password. This is the password we will use. Can you see? For the purpose of this class, I'll just copy this password and then use because of the lab. But when you are creating your own password for your live device, you will use your own password. But for the purpose of this lab, we'll use this. All right. So what did it say? We'll go to enable, then we'll enter configure terminal, then we will enter enable password, then we put in this password. All right. So I will say configure terminal. Then I will now say enable password. Then I can just paste the password that I have copied. All right. I press enter and then I exit. Right. So I have entered this password and then I have exit. Now, there are 2 ways to secure the password at the privilege mode. There's what we call enable password, which we just did. There's another one called enable secret. Okay, we're going to find out the difference between the 2. Now that we have put in the password, this is the password you can see here. It says verify that privilege mode access is secure. So we're going to exit and then press enter again. So I'm going to exit. Then the user mode, we say let me in. Okay. Then now if I put enable, you see it's asking me for password. If I put the password I copied, you see now it has allowed me in. Okay. And then that means our password is working well. Then it says entered. Okay, we have done this. So we're supposed to verify the configuration by examining the content in the running configuration file. Okay, so if I do show running config and I press enter, all right, see, it's giving me the name of the switch. Look at this now. I put enable password. See the password in plain text. It has not been encrypted. Okay. If I come down to the line console passwords, can you see the password, let me in. The password, let me in, is also there. It has not been whatever. Right. Somebody is asking, can we put a different password to see? Yes, you can put a different password and it will work. But you see here, you see where my mouse is? We want to be following these steps so that we can get the score. At the end of the activity, you can check your results here. You check your result here and it will show you what you have done right and what you have done wrong. So we're just following exactly how they have given so that we can be able to do that. So you see this let me in, you see the password in plain text. So which means that if somebody gains access to this switch and just uses the command show running config, the person is going to see all the passwords that are there. Okay, it's going to see all the passwords that are there. So the next thing is saying, let us encrypt these passwords. Let's encrypt this password. So the enabled password should be replaced with a newer encrypted secret password using the enable secret command. Okay, so we're going to now use this as the new password to the privilege mode. So we will go to enable secret. But to do that, we can enter using config T. You see the short form of configure terminal. You can use the short form as config T, and it will still serve you the same. So I can say config T, you see, configure terminal, and then enable secret. Then let me put this. So if I put enable secret, it's going to override the enable password that we used, okay? And it's more secured, right? Then we now exit, okay? Now that we have put this, all right, let us verify. Let's use the show running configuration command. Another short form of it is by using the short form show run. So instead of show running config, you can use show run. So if I do show run, now look at the difference. The host name is there. Look at this password. Can you see enable secret? See the password we have entered. See how it's encrypted with enable secret. But see the enable password, see it's still in plain text. If we come down to this one, you see this one still is in plain text. Okay, so we'll find a way to encrypt all the passwords. Okay, and that is where step 8 comes into play. Step 8 says that we should encrypt them by using the command service password encryption. So I will go to my config T, and then I will say service password encryption. So if I press enter now, and then I exit, if I do show run, now let's see the difference. We have encrypted all the passwords. So you see the enable secret is encrypted. The enable password is also encrypted. I go down, you see the let me in password has also been encrypted. So even if somebody gains access to it, it has been encrypted. Okay. So that is it. The next thing is part 3. We're supposed to configure message of the day banner. Remember, the MOTD or the message of the day is just to give information about whoever is going to come inside. So we say that the Cisco iOS command set includes a feature that allows you to configure message that anyone logging into the switch sees. These messages are called message of the day or MOTD banners, encloses the banner text in quotations or use a delimiter different from any character appearing in the message of the day string. So how do you configure it? You go to your global configuration mode, and then you say banner MOTD. You see this, that in this case, they use this quoted inverted marks as the delimiting character. Then this is the message. All right, this is the message. So let me copy it so that I will not make mistake. All right, so I will say config T, then banner MOTD, then I will just paste this and then close, and then that is it. Now I have put my banner. Okay, I put my banner. This is a secure system, authorized access only. All right, so it says, when will the banner be displayed? The banner will be displayed at the point when the user is trying to log in from console, okay? Either from console or when the person is logging into the user mode, right? Why should every switch have a message of the day banner? It's sometimes is legal for legal issue to show that this device is unauthorized. Okay, somebody cannot just log into your device and say, I didn't know, is mistake. Another one is for ease of understanding and documentation, especially when you are managing a network that has multiple switches. So when you're logging in, you know this switch is this and that and that. Okay. So let's test it. I can come to exit here, right? So now I want to log in. You see, it says this is a secure system, authorized access only. All right. Then I put my password. Let me in. It has bring me here. If I type enable, it will ask me for password. I think we say it's a secret. It's a secret, correct? And then we're in. Okay. Now, the next thing is let us save and verify our configuration to NVRAM. Okay. Remember, initially, when we checked the NVRAM, it says there is no startup config. So now we need to save. And to save it, we can do copy running config. That is copy the current configuration in the running and then save it in the startup. That is what it means. Okay. Then it will bring out a confirmation for you to save it here. You just press enter and you'll be good. So we'll say copy running config, startup config, and then we are good. All right. We're good. So we're supposed to do that for switch 2. Okay. So let's configure switch 2 and we'll go through the same process. So I will close this now. I will come to switch 2. Switch 2, I'll click top here. And then, okay, the information, okay, let me see. Just a minute. Where is it? Where is it? Okay. Okay, so this is where we are. So we say device name, we're going to use switch 2. Let me unmute you guys. I keep getting messages. People are saying they can't see, they can't see. Let me be sure that, okay. I think you should be able to see it now. So let me unmute you. As I unmute you, please, if you don't have anything to say, mute yourself. But if you have something to let me know, then you can unmute yourself and let me know. But I've granted you the permission, you could be able to unmute yourself. So let's continue. All right, so we're in switch 2 now. We're supposed to change the device name to switch 2. So I will come to enable, or EN is another short form of enable. Then config T. Okay. Okay. Now, this is another area that I forgot to let you know. Sometimes when you make a mistake in typing the command here, it will actually be looking for the command and it will take some time. Okay. There is a shortcut on how there's a shortcut on how you're going to gain access, or how to block, or how do I say block, or how to stop this domain server, this and this and this. Okay, there's a shortcut on how to do that. I will show you guys the shortcut very soon. But in the meantime, if this comes up, one way you can do, you can wait for it. it's going to search for this command. You see, I made a mistake when I was typing the command. So you see, if it has waited and it's not able to get, it will say unknown command or computer name, unable to find computer address. Okay, so there is another way you can break it. When we get to that point, I will let you know. So now I'll just type config FIGT. All right, so I'm here. So to change the name, I will say host name S2. All right. Then B says protect access to the console using let me in console. So to get to the console, we'll say line console 0. Password would be let me in. Okay. And then we'll say login. Now we have done that. It says C says configure enable password for this command. So I'll just copy it. Here I will exit here and I'll say enable password. I will paste the password here. And then they say we should also do enable secrets. It's a secret. Let me copy it. All right. I'll say enable secrets. I'll paste it. Okay. Then D says configure an appropriate message to those logging into the switch. That is like message of the day. So we'll just say banner MOTD, that's message of the day. Is that not so? So we can use anything as the limiting character. Can use this, we'll say authorized access only, and I close. Okay. Basically that is it. Then it says encrypt all plain text password. How do you encrypt all plain text passwords? You encrypt it by saying service password encryption. You press enter and you have encrypted. Then it says ensure that the configuration is correct. How do you ensure it's correct? Now let me exit here. You now say show run. Let us see. Host name is this. Enable secret is this. This has been encrypted. And then we have our banner, message of the day. The line password has also been encrypted. We are good. So it says save the configuration file if the switch is powered down. So I will say copy running configuration to startup configuration, right? So once I have done that, then I can come and check my results. So checking my results. Let me be sure that, okay, then I see assessment. Let me be sure that you can see that. Okay, sure you can see it. You can see it. Okay, so this is it. So can you see we have gotten 72 over 72. All the 16 items, we have gotten them right. So can you see? If you failed any, you will see a cross here and it will tell you why you failed. Okay. So this is how to configure the basic switch configuration. So we have done on this activity. Okay. So I will go to the next activity. I will close and go to the next activity. Let me close this ones first so that I can load the next one and then we will call it a day. Is this one not closing? Right. Okay, where is it? Good. So the next activity I'm loading is 2.9.1, basic switch and end device configuration. So we have done basic switch configuration. So I'm sure some of you that are smart have already done all these activities since I've already given you the link to those activities. See, okay, loaded now. Share it with you. All right. So you should be able to see this now. So this is the activity. Okay. This is the activity. Okay. Now, in this activity, we're doing basic switch and end device configuration. We have done basic switch configuration. So here we want to still do switch configuration and an end device. And we've been given the information flow here. This is the information for us to work with. These are the devices. Okay, these are the devices, their interfaces, IP address, subnet mask. So class A, yeah, class A, this is VLAN 1, this is the IP address, subnet mask. So we're supposed to do those configuration. The objective of this activity is to configure hostname and IP addresses on two Cisco Internetwork Operating System switches using command line interface. Also use Cisco IOS command to specify or limit access to device configurations, and then use iOS commands to save the running configuration, configure two host devices, IP addresses, and verify connectivity between the two pieces. Okay, that's the objective. How about the scenario? The scenario tells us that as a recently hired LAN technician, your network manager has asked you to demonstrate your ability to configure a small LAN. Your task includes configuring initial settings on two switches using the Cisco IOS configuring IP address parameters on the host device to provide end-to-end connectivity. You are to use two switches and two host PCs on a cabled and powered network. Instructions: configure the devices to fulfill the requirements below. Right. So, requirement: use a console connection to access each switch. So we're going to see how we're going to get a console cable and use connection. And then name class A and class B switches. And then use this as password for lines. So you see they have given us the password for all lines. We're to use this as secret password. We're to encrypt all clear text passwords. We're to configure an appropriate message of the day banner. We're to configure addressing for all devices according to the addressing table. And then we're to save configuration and then verify connectivity, then check our results. Wow. So there's a lot that we can do now. So how do we start? First, they say use console connection to access each switch. Okay. So this is, you see, this is the switch. This is the cable here. You see where my mouse is? If I click here, this is the console cable, this blue one. If I click it, all I need to do is come to pick this PC here and I use RS232, then come to the switch here and I click console. The moment I do that, I am setting up my console connection. Okay. And then So they say we're to name the switch class A. So I'm going to name the switch class A like this, but this is the table that they've given us. So we're going to put these configurations. Okay. So let me come here. Click this PC here. Then I come to desktop. I come to terminal. Under terminal, I just click OK. And then it brings me to the terminal, right? Let me see if you can see it. Let me share it. Okay, you cannot see it. So let me share it again.
No, we cannot see it. We cannot see it, please.
You should be able to see it any moment. Can you see it now? Can you see the terminal?
We don't know how you got to
Yes, we can see it now.
Yes, we can see it.
All right. So now you see in this terminal.
Oh, we don't know how you got to this.
You don't know how I got here? Okay.
No, how you got there?
Yes, we don't know. I don't know.
You can take it again, sir. Just
okay. Let me just
repeat
it.
Just take it again, please.
The problem.
Maybe you close the screen and you start again.
Yes, you can go back a little.
This is the PC here, and I use console cable, and I showed you how I got the console cable. Is the cable here, and I put on the switch. All I just need to do is click this particular PC, and then I come to desktop. On a normal day, this is where it will bring you. All right, then you just click desktop, and then if you click desktop, it will bring you here. This is the desktop. Then I click terminal here. It brings me this information. I just click OK, and then I'm here. Okay, so once I press enter, you see I'm already in the switch. That is how I got there. So we are in this first switch, and the instruction says that we should name it first. So I'll go to enable, then I'll say config T. To name the switch, I'll say host name, then class -A. I press enter. I have named the switch. As simple as that. Okay. And then I'm supposed to put an IP address to this VLAN 1. This is the IP address here. All right. With this subnet mask. Okay. So let me click top here, as someone just taught me today. Right, let me click top. Good. So we're good. All right. So for me to create these IP addresses that you see here, all I'll just do is I will go to the sub interface. I will say interface VLAN 1. Okay. So you see it takes me there. Then I'll say IP address. Then I'll put in the IP address. This is the IP address and the subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Okay, that's the subnet mask. And then I press enter. That's what they asked me to do, and which we just did now, right? So let me go down to the instructions and see more. We have named the device. Now this as password for all the lines.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Your head is covering the subnet mask you enter. So we want to see how it looks like.
Yeah, well, sir,
your head is covering the date. You can't see the mask.
Sorry.
Yes, sir. Also from my side, I'm not seeing anything on my screen, sir.
Maybe you change. Maybe you move the command interface the other side.
Okay, see it.
Okay.
Yes.
How I wish I
Are
use
we
system.
better now?
Yes, better, sir.
Very good.
From my own end, better.
Very good. So
It's okay like this.
let me put this as well. All right. So Kabir Murtala, I see your hand up. Okay. So let's continue.
My network is very bad, sir.
Okay, those who have bad network, don't worry. I will upload the recording on the YouTube and send it to you. Okay, I noticed that some of you did not subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to it so that you can always get notification. Once I drop any update, you'll be able to get. Okay, so I'll drop the recording in the YouTube, which you can follow up again and again. So now that we have put in the IP address and the subnet mask, the next thing is we're supposed to, they say we should use this as password for all lines. Which are the lines that we have? So we need to find out the lines that we have. So let me exit here first. All right, exit, and then do show run. Then let's see the lines that we have. If I go down, you see we have line console 0. So we're going to put a password on that. Then line VTY 0 to 15, we will put password on that. And they're telling us that the password we'll use is this password 8UBRU. Okay, so I will say config T, I'm in the global mode. Line console 0. Then I'll say password. Then let me just paste the password here. Then I will say login. All right. Then I will now say exit. Then I'll now say line VTY 0 to 15. Then I'll say password. Password. I'll put the same password. Line. Then I'll say login. All right. So I exit. So I have put the password for this now. Then it says secret password. This is the secret password. I will copy it. Then I will say enable secrets.
Please, this command you are typing, some are in short form, some are, for example, enabled, ENA, then the next one is in full. What is the difference between the two?
Beautiful question. I was saying earlier on that if you want to be typing fast commands, once you start typing the first 3 words, just press the tab key on your keyboard. It will complete the command for you.
Okay.
I will just complete
tab
it.
Key.
The tab.
By bringing a
tab key on the keyboard.
Yes. So
you mean the tab key? That is TAB.
TAB.
Okay. Tab.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
If you press the tab key, it will auto-complete the command for you.
Okay, I understand. All right. You can move on, sir.
All right. All right. So we have entered this, and they say encrypt all clear text passwords. So I'll now.
Yes, sir. It seems you skipped one. It seems you skipped one of the lines you just the password.
Okay.
I think there are 3 lines. You did only 2 now. You only passworded 2.
We have done this one.
0 to 15 covers 0 to 4.
0 to 15. That's why you say 0 to 4 and 5 to 15. Once you do 0 to 15, it will cover all. We're going to check it and we'll see it. Okay. We're going to check it and see it. All right. So service password encryption. If I press enter, it should clear all my passwords. Then it says configure an appropriate message of the day banner. Okay, so they say an appropriate one. So I will say banner MOTD. Then I will use a delimiting character, anything I want. I'll say authorized access only. Please keep off. Then I close it. So on my message of the day. Then they say configure addressing for the devices according to the table, which we have done. They say save your configuration. So I will say, now I will now exit. Then I'll say copy run STA. This is another short form for copy running config to startup config. If you say copy run start, it will now save your configuration. All right. So this is what we have done. So we can verify. If I say show running config, you will see that the host name is class A. Enable secret, you see, is encrypted. And then the VLAN 1, see the IP address that we have assigned to it. Okay, it says shutdown. We're supposed to use the command no shutdown. Okay, so I've forgotten that one. That is to activate this interface. We're supposed to use no shutdown. Then our banner, this is our banner. And then our password for login, this is it. So this is the VTY. Can you see VTY this? Can you see the password? Then continuous. So once you use 0 to 15, it covers for it. Okay. So this is the area that I missed that we need to go back and do. Where's the VLAN? Okay, this one. You see here, it says shut down. Shutdown means that the interface is shut down. So when you put an IP address, you're supposed to use no shutdown so that you can make the interface up. So to get back here, I have to go to interface VLAN 1. Okay, so I will say config T interface VLAN 1. I will say no shutdown. So you see, the moment I use the command no shutdown, it tells me that the link status have changed to up. Okay, the line protocol is now up. So if I exit now, exit, and I say show running config, let's check the VLAN interface now. Can you see now that shutdown is gone? That shutdown is gone. So we are done with class A switch. So now let's go to class B switch. Okay, let's go to class B switch. So let me close this here and let me close this equally. This is class B switch. And for me to go to class B switch, I will do the same thing I did with class A. Okay. First, let me find out student 1 here. We're supposed to put an IP address here. You see this IP address, this student 1 PC here. So we'll give it an IP address. So to put the IP address, I will click here. Let me see. I hope you can see it. No, you can't see it. Okay. I think you should be able to see it now. Once I click, it brings me here. Okay. It brings me here. If I click IP configuration here, so we're supposed to put the IP address. I'll just paste it here. And then the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. Right. And then I think that's all we're supposed to do for this students 1. So we are done with this one and this one. Let's now do the same thing with this one here. Let me assign the IP address I'll just copy this to make it faster. Then I come here.
Lord of mercy.
Let me share this. Okay. If I click student here, it brings me here. I come to desktop. And then
so is it really you click on that student 2 that he brought you to this interface?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Then under IP version 4, I will just put the IP address here. Subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. And then I am good. So I've put the IP address. The next thing is to put a console cable that will connect from this PC to this switch here. And I'll come, this is my console cable. Here, I'll put RS232. I'll plus B here, and then I'll click console. So once I've clicked console here, I can now have access into this switch. How do I have access to this switch? I just click this PC. Let me see if it's sharing. Okay. Okay, I click, where's the PC? This PC here, if I click it, it brings me here.
The clicking, is it only once or double click?
Yes, you just click once.
Okay.
Yes, it brings me here. Then I click terminal. And then I click OK, and then it brings me here. The same thing that we did earlier on, right? So you see, so we're supposed to now name the switch. So I will go to enable, configure terminal, then host name, I will say class B. Okay. And then the VLAN information, let me click top here. The VLAN information for class B, this is the IP address. I will just copy it here. I'll say interface VLAN 1 IP address. I'll just paste the IP address, space the subnet mask 255.255.255.0, and I press enter. I'm done with the VLAN information on this class switch. Then I go down to the configurations. Very good. On these configurations, you see, I'm supposed to use 8URB. Let me copy it. Password for all lines. Okay. Password for all lines. So I will now exit here, then go to line console 0. Password is paste it. Then I'll say login. Then line VTY 0 to 15. Password, paste, then login. Okay. And then I'll exit. I forgot on the IP address that we did here, I need to say no shutdown on the interface, just as we did the other one. So I'll go back to the interface. Interface VLAN 1, then I'll say no shutdown. All right, so I've forgotten that. You can exit now. Then I come here where it says secret password. I copy here the password, secret password. I will now say enable secrets, paste it. I'm good. They say clear all text passwords. I'll say service password encryption, and I am there. It says configure message of the day banner, right? Banner, MOTD. Let me use a different delimiting character. Let me use asterisk. And then I will say this is switch 2, keep off. Okay, I close my delimiting character. Then I press enter. And then what next? They say addressing. Okay, we have done the addressing table. Save your configuration. Then I will say exit. Copy running configuration to startup configuration, and I'm done. Then they say we should check our result, verify connectivity between devices. So I am on switch 2 now. Let me see if I can ping switch 1. If I can ping this IP address here. Ping this. So let's see. All right, so we have a success. Can you see? Once you see this exclamation mark, it means that it's a success. Can you see? Success rate is 100%, 5/5. And so we're good, right? Then we can check our results. Let's check our result and see where we missed it. Okay, 100%. See 98/98. All right, 98/98, so we are good. All right, so this is the 2 lab activities we have for today. So sorry, I overshoot the time. We're supposed to have been done by 9:30. Unfortunately, I overstretched. So sorry about that. So
that's not a problem.
What we'll do, I will just take maybe 2 or 3 questions and then we'll call it a day. The other persons, if you have a question, once I upload it on YouTube, you can go to the comment section and type your question. Then I'm going to respond to you there directly. Okay. Lastly, I want to encourage you to download this application, WebEx. I have noticed that a number of you want to be reaching out to me and want to be sharing information with your colleagues, and I have locked the WhatsApp platform. So I have created a group in WebEx, and I have enrolled all of you in that group. So just download WebEx, and then we will continue chatting from there. All right, so Farao Abubakar, okay, Farao Abubakar, sorry. I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. And thanks for a wonderful presentation. I noticed when you are configuring IP address for the systems,
yes,
the automatically assign the subnet max 255.255.0.0. Why is that so? You have to, yes, manually add the 255 on the 3rd octet.
Okay, it's so because by default, most of the systems that you have with the operating system, they look at the classes of the IP address. We have not gone into IP addressing and subnetting yet. So if you'll be patient with me, when we get to that topic, you will see why they automatically come with a particular class of subnet mask, okay? But automatically, once you put a class A, it brings you a class A subnet mask. If you put a class B, it brings you a class B subnet mask, and class C, likewise, like that. So it comes with like the default.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much.
We'll see more about that.
All right, it's noted. Second and the last question.
All right.
So to configure a switch, there has to be a console connection between the PC and the switch.
Initial configuration. Initial configuration.
Okay.
The first configuration, if the switch has no other configuration, okay, then you console cable. But once now that we have configured the switch, we have put the VLAN, it means that we can use a SSH or Telnet to remotely connect into that particular switch.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Understood.
Engineer Samuel Oluchi. Engineer Samuel, can you ask your question? All right, so while Engineer Samuel is getting ready to ask his question, I'm going to now enable our attendance. A number of you have contacted me that they didn't see their name in the attendance list. If you don't click this attendance here, your name will not appear. The system automatically records those who click the attendance list. So I will enable it now. The moment I enable, please try and do that within 120 seconds, within 2 minutes. That's what it means. You have to sign in the attendance. Okay, so I'll be launching it now. All right, so the attendance is up. So while the attendance is rolling, I want to use this opportunity to thank each one of you for your participation in today's class. Look forward to seeing you in our next class, which is tomorrow. Like I said, I'll be uploading it in the YouTube channel. Do well to subscribe so that you can get notification. I've also told you to download the WebEx application on your phone and or your system so that you can be able to have a group chat notification with me. I've noticed that there are some persons that are supposed to be in this class that are not in the WhatsApp group. I don't know how to reach them. If you know them, they can reach out to me or you can forward to them the WhatsApp enrollment link and then they will be fine. Okay. All right. So.
Can I ask my question now?
Yes. Engineer Samuel, you can ask your question.
Okay, so thank you very much for the wonderful effort. I know what determines the character. You may pardon me if I am not using the right terms now. I know with time, because I'm not very, very familiar with this yet. But I think with time, I'll be able to use the right term. Now, when we were configuring the switch, at first we were able to encrypt the password. And when the password is encrypted, when you show config you see the encrypted password, particular character. Now, I want to ask that means that is it that the system just assign that character arbitrarily? Because why I'm asking this is if my password is let me in, and then I want to get sort of maybe of my switches let me in, and I do oh, there's a noise. And then I am able to see the encryption. Now, if I don't know the password of the next switch, and then I go there and do that show configuration, and then I get the character there, the encrypted character, and I match it with my own. Does it mean if it is the same, if that encryption character is the same with my own, does it mean that password on that switch also is let me in?
Okay. Once you use the encryption command, it runs an encryption algorithm. We have different algorithms. One of it that is used is called MD5, Message Digest 5. There are different algorithms. And in an algorithm, there is no one pattern. So you don't expect to see the characters you see in this switch to be the same character you see in another switch, even if it is the same password that you use.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Olufemi Ojo, can you ask your question? If you have not signed your attendance, we have about 30 seconds to go. Okay, Ojo is not there. Abubakar Umar Lawan, can you ask your question?
Yes, hello, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir. Actually, I have WebEx on my system. And how do I go by interacting with you on the WebEx system? Or if I just launch, can I get a site where I can just interact with you?
Once you launch, you will see NBTE CCNA1 class. You are there already.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Then the YouTube channel, sir.
Yes.
Once I subscribe, I'll be having the update.
That is it.
Because I did not open the YouTube since.
Yes. If you
I'm
open,
only using the WhatsApp.
if you open, just click subscribe, then click notify. There's something that looks like a bell. Just click
Okay,
okay. You get notification.
Thank you, sir. I will do that so that we'll get the recorded lectures.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, please, what is your handle that we can use to find you on YouTube?
Hello, sir.
The handle that is not my personal handle, but the handle I've created for this particular training is called MERSAT. MERSAT.
Okay.
MERSAT.
Okay. MERSAT.
SAT. So you will go to YouTube.
Thank you.
If you just type it, you will see that. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much for the wonderful job you have done today. I quickly want to ask, why is line VTY, why is it in a range? That's number one. You know, line console is just one variable, line console 0. Why is line VTY in a range? That's number one. Number two, if I forgot my password, encrypted password, what could I probably do?
Okay.
Thank you.
So why is line VTY in a range? The answer is simple. That device has a way to enable you to have multiple sessions. What do I mean by multiple sessions? It enables multiple people to be able to connect to it at the same time.
Okay.
So maybe in your office, maybe you have 5 administrators, all of them can log in at
internet into it. Good.
Yes, is it. Okay. So if you only want only 2 persons to log in, then you configure only 2 of the sessions and things like that.
Of the sessions. Okay.
And then
so in the case of password, encrypted password problem, I mean forgotten encrypted password.
Yes.
What can you probably do?
This training, I don't want to tell you people now, but
okay.
I'm going to show you on how, in case you forgot your password, you can cover your password.
Cover your password. Okay.
Yes. So there are step-by-step activities.
Okay, please. How do I go about signing my attendance, please?
The attendance have just closed now. We have just finished signing the attendance. But
I've been asking, how do I ask? I've been messaging you.
How to sign it is very simple. You will go to your application. You will see where it says poll, or you'll see some 3 dots, or where it says poll or quizzes. If you click it, you will see the notification for the attendance. Then you just
mean on the Zoom? On the Zoom?
Yes, on the Zoom. On the Zoom.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Once again, thank